So hello friends, in the last video we have stopped on this cortical control. We are actually reading the series of lectures on regulation of blood pressure. Now today I want to teach you some reflexes. So what is the reflex control of the blood pressure? Okay, so that means a reflex is something where you are sending something through the afferent and you are receiving an output. So that means you are giving an input to the central nervous system and central nervous system is analyzing that with whatever centers it has to analyze, and it will be then talking to other areas of the brain which are destined to do those things, and finally a final verdict, a final decision will come as an output message through the efferents. So that means we should know the afferents and the efferents of the system so that we can understand the reflex. And the reflexes which I have told you, the chemoreceptor reflex, I hope I have written that already in the beginning, isn't it? So there are chemoreceptor reflex, there are somatosympathetic reflex, there are atrial stretch reflex, there are cardiopulmonary stretch reflexes, pulmonary stretch reflexes, coronary chemoreflexes, but they are non-physiological. Okay, I'll be telling you what is physiological, non-physiological. So starting with the most important and your life-saving reflex. Your life-saving reflex is baroreceptor reflex. What? Baroreceptor reflex. So starting with the first reflex, baroreceptor reflex. Baroreceptor reflex. It's your life-saving. It's your life-saving reflex. It's your life-saving reflex. Okay. When it has to, when your any changes in the blood pressure are happening, within seconds, it will be regulating your BP. And we also call it by other name as baroreceptor is also known as sino-aortic reflex. Sino-aortic reflex. Fine. Okay. And it is in the list of short-term regulation, isn't it? It's in the list of short-term regulation. That means if it is in the short term, it should be moving at a pace of aeroplane, isn't it? It should work so fast, isn't it? And it should respond also very sensitively. It should respond to the blood pressure changes. Okay. And we said the receptors, so you have to write like this. So the receptors in this reflex are baroreceptors. Baroreceptors. Okay. And the work of these baroreceptors is to see the changes in the pressure. Changes in the pressure. In what? In the blood vessels. Whatever is the change in the pressure in the blood vessels, it will be doing. Whatever is the change in the pressure in the ventricular chambers, okay, in the heart, that it also can sense. Okay. And we said we have two types of receptors. We have a high pressure baroreceptor, we have a low pressure baroreceptor. So we have high pressure baroreceptor, we have low pressure baroreceptor. High pressure baroreceptors are present on your ventricles. Okay, that means ventricle, and you have to divide your brain in this way. Think that this is my arterial system and this is my venular system, isn't it? So in your arterial system and the ventricular system, you have high pressure baroreceptors. Okay, easy. And your low pressure baroreceptors are present on the atria and pulmonary circulation. Atria and your pulmonary circulation. Okay. Atria and pulmonary have low pressure baroreceptors, while as ventricles and arterial circulation, arterial side is having high pressure baroreceptors. Okay. So that means this is also called as cardiopulmonary baroreceptors. Cardiopulmonary baroreceptors. Cardiopulmonary baroreceptors. Okay. Now, if we last time had drawn, this. Do we know we had last time drawn this? We had drawn a common carotid artery, and from that common carotid artery we had an external carotid artery, and this was the internal carotid, isn't it? This was the internal carotid. I should write it here because I have to write the name of the sinus. Internal carotid. If you can't understand this lecture, please go to the previous lectures. I have discussed every anatomy about this. So internal carotid artery, and this internal carotid artery, you have some baroreceptors. Okay, you have some baroreceptors, and you have also this region will be called what? This region will be called, since it's a dilated region, it will be called carotid sinus. Carotid sinus. Fine, easy with this diagram. Okay, so what receptors do you think should be present on the carotid? Which type of baroreceptor should be present? Which type of baroreceptor should be present? High pressure or low pressure? Yeah, a very nice answer. So high pressure, because I told you already here that high pressure is in the arterial and ventricular region. Okay, first you should have concept, then you can only speak why high pressure. So what do you do, or what I have seen with the students doing, the students also in the final year, what they say is they start speaking directly. There are baroreceptors. So which type of baroreceptor, my dear? High pressure or low pressure? Then they think, why high pressure is all around in the heart, in the should not speak something which you have not seen. Okay, evidence is there, what we have seen is there. You can't manipulate anything. Okay, don't try to change medicine in your own words. Whatever is in the what the honorable scientists, honorable doctors are working, uh, they are working for something, so that they can make you understand how things are functioning. Okay, so you should understand this, that you have a high pressure baroreceptors on the carotid sinus, on the, can I say, arch of the aorta is also having. Yeah, we had drawn last time arch of aorta. Do we remember? Arch of aorta also has the receptors. That is definitely, sir, it's conceptual. Yes, exactly. So what was the definition of carotid sinus? We said this region, dilated region of the internal carotid artery. Okay, just above the origin, just above the bifurcation, isn't it, of the common carotid? Okay, or you can say just before its origin, the carotid sinus is just before the origin of the from the common carotid artery. Okay, now what is the nature of the receptors? The baroreceptors, anatomy of the baroreceptors is that there are three things to remember. Kib. What? Kib. What is kib? Do we know? Every medical student in the medical college may be knowing this. I think I had learned it that way, so maybe you also know it. So kib. What is kib? They are knobbed. They are knobby. What is the nature of baroreceptors? They are knobby. They are intertwined, intertwined, and they are branched. They are intertwined, they are branched. So that means whatever nerve endings they have, they should have that those nerve fibers will be having these knobby, branched, intervened morphology. Okay. Now remember one thing. If I have three locations, one location, two location, three location. This is one location, two location, third location. Okay. This was location one. I have baroreceptor here and I don't have baroreceptor at the one. Who will bring the signal? Which which vessels will be bringing? Will one do anything or not? First, you should have this concept. No receptor, no signal will be received from one. It is a principle that wherever you have baroreceptors, only those vessels will detect. These only can detect the delta P, that is change in the blood pressure. Okay. What happens, the working of these receptors is such that if this is the wall, for example, and there you have the walls, you have the receptors. So I have receptors. The receptors are such that once your blood flow is more here, yeah, more blood flow, they will produce a stretch. Definitely. Okay, you have a stretch. And once this stretch happens, it will cause distension. Distension. Distension of this carotid sinus. Okay. And they will start taking the signal through dash, through the afferents. They will take the signal to the afferents. To the afferents. Are we clear? They are going towards the brain, my dears. Afferents. Now, if there is no distension, do you think they will be stimulated? Do you think they will be stimulated if you don't have any distension, if the blood is not so much there? If you decrease the pressure, that they will not be stimulated. They will not be stimulated, definitely. They will not be stimulated. Okay. Now, who is doing this? You have to remember two on your tongue. Two on your tongue. Ninth cranial nerve, 10th cranial nerve. Ninth cranial nerve, 10th cranial nerve. Ninth cranial nerve, 10th cranial nerve. Ninth cranial nerve is called glossopharyngeal nerve. 10th cranial nerve is called vagus nerve. These are the afferents. Now, carotid sinus, 9. Aortic arch, 10. Okay. So, carotid sinus afferent is the afferent from carotid sinus. The afferent from carotid sinus is ninth. Ninth cranial nerve takes the message from the carotid sinus. Aortic arch. Which nerve? 10th cranial nerve. You should remember them first. Then only you can understand the baroreceptor. Ninth cranial nerve is called glossopharyngeal nerve. Glossopharyngeal nerve. 10th is called vagus. Vagus. Okay. Now what happens is that from this carotid sinus, glossopharyngeal nerve, these fibers, they will come together. Okay. How to draw? So from the carotid sinus, some fibers will come together. Let me take this only. Carotid sinus, the fibers will come together to form a branch you can see anatomically. That is called carotid sinus nerve. Carotid sinus nerve. And this carotid sinus nerve, it was also known as buffer nerve. Buffer nerve. Why? Because it is buffering. Buffer. What is the meaning of buffer? Buffer means anything which resists the change in itself. Have you ever read the buffer definition in the chemistry? The basic methodology of buffer working was that whatever change you do, it will try to resist that change. If you try to do an acidity sort of a thing, it won't let the pH to decrease. Same way it is occurring as a buffer. Okay, so whenever blood pressure changes, buffer nerve is stimulated. It should get stimulated. Normal physiology, it should get stimulated. Okay, and the nerve which is coming, the fibers which are joining together from the 10th cranial nerve, that nerve is called as aortic nerve. Is it easy or difficult? When we understand with analogy, then the life becomes easy. If we try to mess, what happens? Life becomes suspense. Life becomes suspense. Okay. If we do mess, what no, some people start doing mess with the nerves. What they do? They start telling 9th, 10th grade, no, it goes, then stimulate something. No, 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 don't go into emotions. Chamber is an emotion, but try to do decrease that emotion. Okay, decrease that emotion. Don't try to go into that emotion. Okay. Okay, so this is the analogy which you how we can remember. Okay, okay, but remember this was seen in in the rabbit. It forms a branch. This aortic nerve is a branch, seen in the rabbit. Okay, so just remember that the fibers of the vagus nerve, from the aortic arteries and aortic nerve. Just remember. Okay, now if you distend the carotid sinus, if you distend the aortic arch, what will happen? Dash stretching will happen. Baroreceptors will stretch. That means will they increase the quantity of impulses? Will they increase the quantity of impulses in these nerves? That means will more of the cars flow, more messages going towards the CNS? Okay, can I say that traffic has increased? So this is called nerve traffic. So this nerve traffic will increase. That means which nerves will be stimulated? Ninth and 10th. Which nerve traffic is increasing in ninth and 10th when you are stretching the baroreceptors. Where should these baroreceptor reflex start? Should not be in the cardiovascular center in the medulla. Yes, sir, it should be in the cardiovascular center in the medulla. So every regulation of this should be in the cardiovascular center in medulla. Okay. Which center should be there? There should be a vasomotor center and there should be a cardio inhibitory center. And which pathway was the vasomotor center sending the branches to the intermediolateral gray column of the spinal cord? It was the beautiful answer, bulbospinal pathway. Bulbospinal pathway. Bulbospinal pathway. So this bulbospinal pathway will again start to, isn't it? Going to the intermediolateral horn. Do we remember the intermediolateral horn? Yes, sir. Remember the intermediolateral horn. And from here you will have a sympathetic discharge originating. While as you have a cardio inhibitory center, and from that cardio inhibitory center, you will be having an origin of the vagus nerve, that is the from the nucleus tractus solitarius. Nucleus tractus solitarius is causing what? Cardio inhibition. Nucleus tractus solitarius in the medulla is causing cardio inhibition. Okay. So how was NTS inhibiting the vasomotor center? By dash intercom. Do we remember the intercom? It was telling this vasomotor center to stop. This is called interneuron. Do we remember that interneuron in the medulla talking to yourself in your home? Okay, so that means whenever you are stimulating the cardio inhibitory center, you are actually telling the vagus to inhibit everything. That's where you lag when you are speaking. Okay, Now, did you understood the afferents? Have you understood the afferents? The glossopharyngeal nerve is an afferent. Vagus nerve is an afferent. Carotid sinus nerve is an afferent. Aortic nerve as such is an afferent. Gay rabbit. So these are all afferents. Baroreceptor is an afferent itself, which is connected to these nerves. Now there should be some efferents. So what should be the efferents? What do you think? It should be either a sympathetic fiber or it should be a vagus nerve. So efferents, what efferents you have? What efferents you have, guys? Number one is sympathetic nerve or sympathetic fibers and vagus nerve. Vagus nerve. Now you know already that sympathetic fibers are originating from intermediolateral horn. Do we know? Intermediolateral horn of the spinal cord, and which is itself under the control of vasomotor center, isn't it? So vasomotor center is controlling it. From the diagrams what we have drawn, we are actually making everything making together. Okay, and we have vagus nerve which is coming from dash. Vagus nerve origin dash. Origin, guys, vagus nerve. Vagus nerve origin. It's the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Nucleus of tractus solitarius. Whenever you repeat more and more, you can remember. Otherwise, you will forget it definitely. I promise you will forget. So speak with me, guys. Okay. Keep texting. Keep texting. Okay. Learn it today only in this minute. We don't have time as doctors. We have to save lives. Just learn it here only. So vagus nerve will be stimulating your, telling your heart to get inhibited. Okay, and your fibers from the sympathetic, which is coming from the intermediate, will be actually going to the blood vessels and also to the heart, and in that way it should be increasing. And but now we'll be reading the reflex, how things are happening. Now whatever you reflex you want, whatever reflex happens, whatever this is all afferent and efferent story. You have understood how a thing will work. Once one connection you are sending to the modem and another connection is sending something from the modem. That's what it simply means. As a layman, it's just a simple wire connection. What wires will go into the socket and what wires are coming out of the socket. Socket is the brain. So socket, in the socket we have fibers. Their nucleuses are located on the in the brain or in the medulla, wherever, according to the number of the nerves, the way they are arranged. Oh, if you increase the blood pressure, likewise the blood pressure should be reset. And if you're decreasing the doing some decrease in the BP, you should respond in that way. And how much time you have been doing this will also actually move this system. How long you have been doing this, and what is the gravity, what is the gravity of that change what you have done. Gravity means what is the depth of that change, what is the degree that you have done, the degree of change you have done with that blood pressure, the rate at which the blood pressure is changing. That will actually determine the response. Now, I will give you, I don't want to write. Please listen to me. Please listen to me first. And then you write. First listen. I will be making a chart for you. Now listen me. If I increase the BP, you have to tell me yes or no, just. Yes or no. Put your fingers on the text box. We want you to become masters of this reflex. That's it. If you increase the blood pressure, will it stimulate the baroreceptors in the carotid sinus and aortic arch? Will it increase the traffic in the 9th and 10th cranial nerves? Will it tell the nucleus tractus solitarius, my dear, what are you doing? Everything is working in a high blood pressure and you are sleeping. It will tell the nucleus tractus solitarius, hey, hello, hi. He is not listening. I'm kidding, just he is listening actually. He is telling you what the nonsense you are doing. The blood pressure in the body is high. So nucleus tractus solitarius says, just it's a just a game. Just give me 1 second. what it does is nucleus tractus solitarius in the medulla oblongata starts telling the vasomotor center, please stop your nonsense. Please stop whatever vasoconstriction you are doing. It will tell the vasomotor center through the interneurons. Once you are inhibiting the vasomotor center, sympathetic outflow will decrease. Dash will happen, vasodilation. Dash will happen, bradycardia. Dash will happen, cardiac output decrease. Dash will happen, systolic BP decreases. Be able to understand. Another thing will happen. Sir, nucleus tractus solitarius is the origin of vagus. Definitely. Sir, nucleus tractus solitarius will be stimulated. True or false? Yes, sir. It will stimulate the vagus nerve. Yes, sir. It will inhibit the heart. Yes, sir. Are we able to understand the reflex? Is it difficult? Is it difficult? Beautiful. Very nice people. No, people are very much nice people. You can understand. Now speak again with me, then we will write. First, we should understand. Blood pressure is decreasing. Now blood pressure is decreasing. Will the decreased blood pressure cause any stretch in the carotid sinus? Will it cause any stretch in the aortic arch? No, never. Sir, how can it stretch when the pressure is down? Will you decrease the baroreceptor activity? Will you decrease the traffic in the afferents? Will you decrease the traffic in the ninth cranial nerve? Will you cause the decrease in the traffic in the 10th cranial nerve? Will you cause decrease in the traffic in the same name I am telling, glossopharyngeal nerve? Will you cause less traffic in the vagus nerve? Will you inhibit the tractus solitarius? Yes, exactly. Beautiful. Will this cause no inhibition of vasomotor center? You are not giving any inhibition to vasomotor center. No inhibition to vasomotor center. Will the vasomotor center remain stimulated? Will it keep sending the sympathetic discharge? Will it keep going the vasoconstriction? Will it keep going the tachycardia? Will it keep going the cardiac output increase? Systolic blood pressure increase. We will understand. But if you are inhibiting the NTS, will you also inhibit the vagus? Will you also inhibit the vagus? Beautiful answer. So will you cause, if you are activating your sympathetic system, will you cause more amount of surge, increase in the catecholamine synthesis and release from the medulla? Will you cause again a vasoconstriction? So what is this doing actually then? So we should write what we should write. So we should write the mechanism of baroreceptor. So baroreceptor reflex mechanism. Okay, we have written the anatomy. Okay, write like that. Afferents are these, efferents are these. So try to write the way I'm telling you to write. Okay, this will help you to remember things. So baroreceptor reflex is basically a rapid BP control by autonomic nervous system. Second point, it is a neural reflex. Compensates for delta pressure, PA, that is changes in the arterial blood pressure. Okay, works through mechanoreceptors, that is baroreceptor. Baroreceptor is a type of mechanoreceptor, isn't it? Baroreceptor. Okay, so you have mechanoreceptors in which two regions? Carotid sinus and aortic arch. Okay, who will stimulate these receptors? High BP, high change in the pressure. Okay, high BP will increase. If you are increasing, I should not write change X, I should write delta P, increase P directly. So directly increase the P. What will happen? Yes, my dears. Are we listening? So increase in the P. So what will increase in the P do? It will increase the action potentials in it. So action potentials are fired. More action potentials, isn't it? More action potentials. And they will be conveying the traffic, traffic in the 9th and 10th, depending on the way we have written, isn't it? So the carotid sinus nerve, here we said aortic nerve. So we are increasing the traffic, whatever the nerve they have. That is the anatomy you have to remember. Okay. So they will finally convey this signal to your medulla, and that will be writing which areas and what. So this is the basic mechanism how they are working. Okay. So 3 players are here in the game. It is the pressure increases, stretch firing, medulla, nucleus tractus solitarius, isn't it? Interneuron talking to vagus nuclei, interneuron talking to CVLM, RVLM, isn't it? Okay. Now what will happen once it reaches the medulla? Okay. So I think we should make the chart. Okay. Just make a flow chart like this so that your life becomes easy. So let us first write when you increase the pressure. Okay. When you increase the pressure will make life easy. Let us write like this. When you are decreasing the pressure or when you are increasing the pressure, let us go for increasing the pressure. When you increase the pressure, make a chart like this. So you increase the BP. You increase the BP, guys. Increase the BP. If you increase the BP, what will happen? You are actually causing increased stretch on carotid sinus. Carotid sinus. Carotid sinus. Carotid sinus has baroreceptors. Baroreceptors. We don't have to explain anything. I have taught you. I am just writing. Firing. Increased firing or traffic in the 9th and 10th cranial nerve. That is glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. They will stimulate. Now when they are going to the brain, isn't it? So they are going to the brain and they are stimulating the nucleus tractus solitarius. This nucleus tractus solitarius is doing 2 things. This nucleus tractus solitarius is doing 2 things. What 2 things it is doing? One thing it is doing is it is, yes, going to the vagus. Second thing, it is giving the vagus nerve the stimulation, isn't it? Vagus nerve stimulated. Another thing, it is very nice answer. It is inhibiting the, very nice, vasomotor center. It is inhibiting the vasomotor center which is present here only. Let me make it in the box of the. So we should make like this. It is inhibiting the vasomotor center. This is your medulla, isn't it? Okay. Now when you activate the vagus nerve, what will happen? Vagus nerve activation will cause decrease in the heart rate, because what will happen? Vagus nerve will cause repolarization, isn't it? It will try to, I will teach you that in the electrical physiology. Okay. The electrical activity of the heart, that is a separate topic. So it will decrease the heart rate, and decrease heart rate means decreasing the cardiac output. Decreasing the cardiac output means decreasing the blood pressure, mostly the systolic. So you should write directly the BP only. Okay, then only other things will start coming. Fine. If you are inhibiting this vasomotor center, that means you are inhibiting the sympathomimetic action. Sympathomimetic means you are not mimicking the sympathomimetic action. What will happen? You will do 2 things. You will be doing 2 things. you will be decreasing the inotropic action of the heart, isn't it? And very nice answer. And vasodilation. Okay, vasodilation. This is on the vessel, this is on the heart. Okay, so you will be causing, yeah, you will be decreasing the inotropic or your negatively inotropic, whatever you like. And finally, when you are doing this, decreasing the inotropic action, you are actually decreasing the cardiac output, isn't it? And what you are also doing in the vasodilation is, you are in the vasodilation causing decreased BP. Who is having any doubt with this? Yeah. Okay. Now, if you are decreasing the BP, for example, a patient came with hemorrhage, isn't it? When you have blood loss, road traffic accident, okay, patient came with road traffic accident, hemorrhage happened. So hemorrhage happened, what will happen? BP will increase or decrease? Blood pressure will decrease, my dears. Blood pressure will decrease, isn't it? And in the acute hemorrhage case, I can say, or road traffic accident, road traffic accident, not oxygen. So acute hemorrhage will cause a decrease in the arterial pressure. Decrease in the arterial pressure. Yeah, game starts now. No stretch. No stretch on the carotid sinus baroreceptors. Carotid sinus baroreceptors. No stretch on the carotid sinus baroreceptors means no firing or decreased firing. No or decreased firing. No can't be told. I think decrease should be written. Okay. So decrease should be written. So decreased stretch, decreased firing, or decreased traffic in the carotid sinus nerve, isn't it? That is called the Harring's nerve, isn't it? Isn't it, guys? Harring's nerve. Do you remember? Harring's nerve, yeah. So what will happen? Are you actually decreasing the, what you are going to do? Yeah. No stimulation of, or less stimulation of NTS, isn't it? Less stimulation of NTS. Yeah, game starts, sir. Less stimulation of NTS in the medulla. So what will happen? NTS, less stimulation means inhibition of vagus nerve. You are inhibiting vagus nerve, isn't it? 10th nerve. You are inhibiting 10th nerve means, yes, sir. It is in the SC and AV, no decrease heart rate. Decrease heart rate. Decrease heart rate means decrease cardiac output. Decrease cardiac output means finally BP and BP will fall. BP will fall. Okay. Another thing which you are doing is, you are not inhibiting the VMC. That is, you are activating the VMC. You are activating the VMC. So there is, if you are carotid sinus, if you are not inhibiting the activity of vasomotor center, that means you are activating the VMC. If you are not able to inhibit the activity of VMC, that means you are activating the AMC, isn't it? You are actually activating it. So if you are activating the AMC, AMC, VMC, don't go into Australian Medical Council exam. It's VMC, okay? Vasomotor center. And that vasomotor center, when you are stimulating, you are actually causing what? Increase in the sympathomimetic action. Sympathomimetic action. You are increasing the sympathomimetic action. What will happen? You will actually cause increase in the inotropic action. Positively, inotropism. You will increase the inotropic action. Positive inotropic action. That means you will increase the cardiac output. Finally, increasing the BP. And sympathomimetic action on the vessels, isn't it? Vessel and heart, you have to think. So vessels, vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction means increase in the diastolic BP, isn't it? Are we able to understand? Who is having any doubt with this decrease and increase? Can you now think once suddenly an acute hemorrhage? This is acute is important, guys. This acute hemorrhage is important. So if you are where is the doubt? I am writing decrease in the BP will cause decrease in the firing of carotid sinus herrings now. Will cause decrease in the stimulation of NTS. It's okay, it's right. What is the doubt? So you are decreasing the stimulation of NTS. You are decreasing the stimulation of NTS means you are not able to inhibit. You are actually inhibiting the vagus. You are inhibiting the vagus. Isn't it? So then that game starts again. Okay. So I have made it understood. You can listen to the lecture again in the video. Okay. Yeah. So inhibition of the so decreased stimulation of this will cause what? Inhibition of vagus nerve, na? So vagus nerve will inhibit, so increase heart rate will happen. Sorry. So increase in the heart rate will happen. I'm sorry. Okay. Don't try to kill me. Okay. Okay. If you can kill me, okay, come kill me. Okay. So increase in the heart rate and increase in the cardiac output. Sorry. Increase in the cardiac output and increase in the BP. Okay. Now correct. Now fine, guys. Okay. Okay. Don't try to kill me. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your, at least you told me. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now, what is this response? How much pressure change should happen that you want to see this response? So baroreceptors will only try to regulate your blood pressure if your pressure changes are happening between 50 to 200 mmHg. If your pressure changes are happening between, if you have a change of pressure between 50 to 200 mmHg, okay. Now, if your pressure is changing less than 50 mmHg, you won't be able to appreciate any response. And if your pressure changes is happening more than 200 mmHg, you won't be able to see any response. But it has been seen that there is a linear relationship between 70 to 140 mmHg. So linearly it will be working. So there is a linear between if the page changes between the range of 70 to 140. Can we understand these three terminologies? First we said what pressure changes it can. Next is linear working. Linearly work is for 70 to 140 change. Change means 70, means difference should be 70, 20, 70, 80, 90. Difference between that change pressure. Okay. So don't try to confuse yourself. Okay. Now what happens in the baroreceptor mechanism if your pulse pressure is changing and if your mean arterial pressure is changing? Okay. If pulse pressure changes, the baroreceptor mechanism will produce dynamic response. What? Dynamic response, or you also call it phasic response. And if MAP, if I would say like this, if there is sustained pressure change, what? Sustained pressure change. One is pulse pressure change, that is dynamic. One is sustained pressure change, that is called, there the baroreceptor will be doing tonic response, also called static response. Okay. Now, if you decrease the pulse pressure and your mean arterial pressure is not changing. What will happen? Carotid sinus discharge. What will happen to carotid sinus discharge? That will decrease. Listen again. If you decrease the pulse pressure, let me write like this. If you decrease the pulse pressure, no change in MAP will cause decrease carotid sinus discharge. Okay, fine. Now, if you decrease the MAP, you are decreasing the MAP. We have read everything about MAP, isn't it? In the previous lectures, we have studied everything about this. And pulse pressure is not changing. And pulse pressure is not changing. This will also cause decreased what? Discharge. How we will understand. Okay, guys. Is it fine? Okay. What are you seeing now is when you are having all this happening, guys. When you are having all this happening, when you are decreasing, when you have these changes happening, you are actually using the two things together. You are using a vessel response, and you are also using the heart response, isn't it? You are using the vessel response in the baroreceptor. Okay, what was happening? Baroreceptors, you were actually sensing the tension, isn't it? You got hypotension and you sensed that your arterial pressure decreased, stretch decreased, firing decreased, efferents fired, isn't it? Your decreased hypotension, if you write a small thing, your decreased pressure actually led to the increased efferent firing, isn't it? Efferent, isn't it? Okay, are we clear? Now, if you put what clinically we do, can I tell you what we do in the clinical thing? You know, you have this carotid sinus in your neck, isn't it? Your division, it is in the neck, isn't it? What we do, we have a maneuver. We have a maneuver. Means we have a technique that is called carotid sinus massage. Carotid sinus massage. Okay, some things are there that I will be telling you maybe later on, but right now try to understand. There are many things coming in my mind. So what happens that when you are actually stimulating this carotid sinus, like I put my hand, see, and now I'm just massaging it. Okay, massage. What happens is, listen to me, guys. Your brain should be towards me, otherwise you will fail, guys. Fail in understanding. And if you fail in understanding that, you can't understand medicine, my dears. Please have full concentration. It's just game of lines, game of process is happening. When you do a carotid sinus massage, what you are doing is you are mechanically doing some stretching on this. You are deforming the baroreceptors. And what does the brain, what a beautiful thing, what does the brain think is that when you are massaging, he feels that blood pressure is high because you are you're deforming the baroreceptors. First listen, then we write. So you are deforming the barrel. Okay, let me write with it so that I can understand. So when you are doing this carotid massage, so brain thinks you are actually what you are doing. When you are massaging, you are deforming. You are deforming. You are deforming the baroreceptors in your wall, isn't it? You are deforming the baroreceptors. Now, what does medulla think is that he thinks that blood pressure has increased. The vasomotor thinks that blood pressure has increased. What happens that you will decrease the sympathetic outflow and you will start all that mechanism as if the blood pressure has increased, and a parasympathetic outflow will be initiated. This will cause a compensatory drop in the blood pressure and person can fall in front of you. That is called syncope. Can you see a person, like we have the cases right now in the world, when the person's neck was actually, what happened? You put your For example, you put your hand, you actually, for example, you press someone around the neck, okay, you strangulate someone. Strangulation means you are actually so right now what you are doing, you are actually what you are doing is these baroreceptors will be stimulated. Baroreceptors are deformed. Baroreceptors deformation means the vasomotor center in the medulla is thinking that the blood pressure is increasing. What happens as a reason is that when you are increasing the blood pressure, what will happen? You are actually causing the stretch, you are deforming this. So this carotid sinus is deformed. So what happens? Increased firing in the 9th and 10th cranial nerve, increased firing in glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. When glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve are stimulated, what happens? They go to the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Nucleus of tractus solitarius talks to vagus nerve and vasomotor center. It causes activation of vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is activated, that means decrease the heart rate. Heart rate decreases means decreases the cardiac output. And by another hand, it is inhibiting the vasomotor center. If vasomotor center is inhibited, that means you will be inhibiting the sympathetic outflow. That means you will be causing a negatively inotropic action. That means you will be decreasing the cardiac output. And on the vessels, the action will be such that the vasodilation will happen, contributing there will be a decrease in the BP. Will the person fall in front of you? He will get into syncope. This is called syncope. He will fall, faint. Now, can you understand why the person faints? When you put something on his neck, pressure. What a beautiful mechanism. Physiology is amazing. Medicine is amazing actually. No subject like this in the world. I love this. Everything, it is explaining everything. Are we able to understand the carotid sinus massage? If they ask you what is carotid massage, you simply say you are deforming the stretch receptors. You are increasing the afferent firing. You are actually, I will be telling you later on, the AV node refractory period will increase. I will be telling you later on. Fine. Is it clear? Can I add something from pharmacology? Because I always love to integrate everything. Okay. Now see, guys, listen. If a person is sleeping or not sleeping, don't go to sleep because that is a mechanism. I am in a supine position. And I suddenly I stand. Rapidly I stand. Okay. I rapidly changed my posture. Suddenly I stand. What will happen? BP will abruptly fall because of pooling in the legs, isn't it? So when you abruptly stand, I'm saying abruptly, rapidly, what will happen? Decreased BP. Why? Because you have pooling, peripheral pooling in the veins. I taught you that last time. If you have peripheral pooling, what happens? This is for some time only, isn't it? Okay. Now what will happen when all the blood will suddenly go down? Will you have a decreased stretch on the baroreceptors? Will you have a decreased stretch? Will the vasomotor think that as if the blood pressure has decreased, I am bringing everything, what I see every day in the hospital or something, I can think like this. Whenever these things happen, I can read this. This is what your task should be as a doctor. So when you have decreased firing of the carotid sinus, now what will happen? You are decreasing the parasympathetic activity to the heart. You are actually increasing the heart rate. And you are at the same time increasing the sympathetic activity to the heart and blood vessels. You are increasing the heart rate. You are increasing the contractility. Isn't it? Isn't it, guys? All that mechanisms comes to play. And what will happen? Your heart rate has increased and you have a vasoconstriction of the vasoconstriction of the vessels. Now I have some drugs. For example, I have an alpha-1 blocker. Okay. I have alpha-1 blockers, or I have calcium channel blockers. Drugs. I will be teaching you these, don't worry. Their side effect is, since they are blocking, what receptors are on the vessels? Alpha receptors, alpha-1. Alpha-1 work under sympathetic activity for your purpose only. For the first year purpose, I'm talking so basic. If you block this alpha 1, can you stimulate now? Can you stimulate now? If you have sympathetic activity, you wanted to send sympathetic signal to this. Now you blocked it. I blocked with the drug block. It's not blocked like this, but I'm just trying to make you understand. If you block this, what will happen? Will you be suddenly, when you rise, if these patients are taking the drug, these patients are on alpha blockers, and when they suddenly will wake up from their supine position, these patients, will they be able to increase the cardiac output or vasoconstrict? Will they be having orthostatic hypotension? Do you think that these people can have orthostatic hypotension, that is change from the posture, the blood pressure will decrease? This is the side effect of this drug. Or what a beautiful concept. This is why I love medicine. That's why these patients, one of the side effect of this is orthostatic hypotension. That is with a change in the posture, they will have decrease in the BP. Should thank to God that every time you are raising and then sitting and then see how your sympathetic discharge is controlling the blood pressure. You should consider this concept as a bottle. What I think is this is a bottle and you have fluid like this. When you are lying like this, you have fluid going towards this side. So when you suddenly when you stand, what happens? All the fluid like a bottle goes to the legs. Till the sympathetic activity comes and then vasoconstricts and brings all to the brain and this. What a concept, what a concept, what a concept. Beautiful concept. I have applied this physiology now. I hope I have made you the conceptual physiology. Whatever you read in the charts, I'm applying this on the normal human body. Okay. So have we understood this concept or not? Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, hero and heroines, cute and cutes. Okay, I don't have a male for a cute and cute. So I say cute and cute, cuting. So I hope you have enjoyed this topic. So see you, check the next video for the further discussion.